guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing another story time video. And this video will be about my adoption story and how I, dealt with being adopted and the negative things and the positive things about adoption. And just to give you guys a little bit about myself, my name is Zamora. I am 25 years old. And I was adopted when I was 8 years old by my mom that I am dealing with now, I guess you can say. And when I was growing up, I was told that I have 7 siblings. I only know of 3 though. My sister and my 2 brothers. And I actually grew up with one of my brothers when I was put into the foster care system when I was, I believe, 5 years old. And then as we got older and as we kept being moved around from different homes, we were separated. When I was growing up, I was told that we were supposed to be adopted together, but that never happened, of course. And my mom was unable to take care of me. My birth mom was unable to take care of me because she was on drugs, from what I was told growing up. And she was on them pretty badly. And she just couldn't take care of her kids. So we were taken by her, my siblings and I. And actually, one of my siblings were never adopted by her. He actually grew up with our grandma, my mom's mom, and the grandma raised him, which was, good for him. But for us, we were put in foster care, and we eventually got adopted, which was nice. And my mom, who adopted me now, she adopted me when I was 8, of course. And I remember when during the adoption process, I wasn't too sure about anything because, I had been put in foster care pretty much my whole life. And I was being bounced around from foster home to foster home, not knowing really which place was going to be a permanent place. So I never really got comfortable. And there were some good foster homes, some bad foster homes. I just remember when I was in foster care, I didn't like it. Foster care, some people do it for the wrong reasons, I want to say. We'll get into that. But some people take in foster kids for the wrong reasons, not really for the child, but for themselves. And when a child is brought up into, a place like that, it doesn't turn out well for that child. And I just remember going from foster home to foster home until I was finally adopted by my mom that I live now. And when my mom adopted me, it was during the holidays, during Christmas time. And I remember before I was even adopted, she used to visit me, and we would hang out, and she would come, and we would do fun things together. I wasn't when she would come visit me, and we would have kind of like, I guess you would say, these play dates. I kind of figured maybe I was going to be adopted, hoping that I was going to be adopted. And somewhere in my heart, I knew that she would be my mom. But, yeah. But, so she adopted me during Christmas time. And I remember I used to actually get to sleep, like, we used to have sleepovers at her house, like, I would sleep over her house, just so I can get to, hang out with her, spend time with her, so she get to know me, I get to know her. It was a good experience, and I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was part of a family already. So when I was told that I was going to be adopted, I was like super, super, super excited. The good thing about my mom when she adopted me, my mom had other friends who had adopted, other kids. So it was kind of, I didn't feel like I was alone because I actually had family, because we called my mom's friend, we called her children my cousins because they were really close friends and they're like sisters. They had gone to college together. And I believe my mom's friend, she encouraged my mom to adopt, and that's how she adopted me. My mom actually got to look through a booklet of, my mom tells me the story. She told me the story before where she looked through a booklet of potential kids that she could adopt, and she fell on my picture, and she says that my picture was the only one that wasn't smiling, and I was just like sad and wasn't happy, which made her want to adopt me. Being in the foster care system was really hard for me. I dealt with a lot of different homes, where I got beat a lot. I, was around surroundings with fighting, with violence, abuse, anything you could think of, I most likely went through it. So being in the foster care system was not exciting for me. So when I was adopted, I was excited about it. But um, I kind of had to grow in, I always thought that, okay, maybe this is not permanent. So for me, I had to get used to, okay, this is where I'm going to be for forever. And, she has no, she can't tell me, oh, she's going to send me back to foster care, or she's going to, tell them to come get me or whatever. And I remember, like, when I used to, live with my mom, like, when it was time for to go to bed, um, it was really hard for me to go to sleep. And I just remember, I remember my mom used to tell me this also, that I used to cry in my sleep, and my mom would have a hard time actually waking me up because, just all the craziness that I had gone through, the nightmares, um, that I had to deal with, and the scaredness, and just mentally and physically. um, the foster care kind of killed me inside, so my mom had to kind of repair the damage that was done. And it was a lot of fun because I had cousins, that I grew up with who were adopted, so like I had said before, so I didn't really feel alone. And my mom had so many amazing friends and family and co-workers. Some of her co-workers had adopted kids as well, so again, I didn't feel lonely. Um, but I just remember growing up, when you go to school and you have those projects where it's like, okay, make a family tree, or you know those projects, for me, that's when I kind of feel sad, because I was like, okay, well, we have to, what, I don't know what color my mom's eyes are. I don't know what color my mom looks like. I'm adopted, so I don't know my grandma, I don't know my grandpa. The other people were doing, their family tree with their real parents, and I didn't know anything about my side. All I knew is that my mom's last name, my birth mom's last name, her first name, and I grew up knowing that I had 7 siblings, and that was about it. And so when we had to do those projects, it I felt sad because I was like, okay, well, I don't know my family. I'm adopted. So I would tell people that, like, I don't know, I'm adopted. Um, and, or when people would be like, oh, my name. When people used to ask me about my name, like, oh, your name is so pretty. You know, what does your name mean? And I'm like, I don't know what my name means. Or they'll be like, oh, okay. Um, they'll be like, okay, so you don't know what your name means, did your mom ever tell you? I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm adopted. And I remember when I went to an interview, like probably a year ago, I think the people they loved my name, and they kept asking me like, where did your name come from? Do you know what your name means? And I'm like, no, I was adopted. So we went into this whole story about my adoption and all this other stuff. Blah, blah, blah. So, um, I think it's hard when, people ask you about my name, or you have to do, what they ask about your family, or does this run in your family? You be like, no, you don't know, you're adopted. I think that's hard. And when I was adopted, I used to hate telling people that I was adopted. I couldn't, I honestly couldn't stand it having to tell people that I was adopted, and, that I didn't know my real family growing up, because some people um, look down on you because, you didn't come, your mom was not the one that birthed you and all of that. And some people are very judgmental, so I used to hate telling people that I was adopted. And if I didn't have to tell people I was adopted, I would run with it. And I wouldn't tell them. And then if I had to tell them, I would just tell them and I guess see what they said. Um, I used to blame my mom a lot when I was adopted. And when things were hard on me, I used to always say, if I was adopted, then I would have to go do this, or maybe my mom will react differently than my mom that's raising me now. Maybe my birth mom would, let me do this, and you wouldn't let me do that. So I always was like, okay, well, if my birth mom was here, would she let me do this? Or if my birth mom was here, would she let me do this? Like with my whole teen pregnancy, I was like, okay, well, if I got pregnant, then my mom wouldn't kick me out. My birth mom wouldn't kick me out. So, but I mean, you never know. Um, but that's just, in my mind, that's just how it played out. That if my birth mom was in the picture, then all the negative things that my mom wouldn't let me get away with, maybe my birth mom would let me get away with. But that's how I played it. Which probably was bad, but I mean that's just how that's just how I wanted it to be, I guess. Um, and I had a hard time with my adoption, I think, as I got older, because I did want to find my birth mom. I want to say real mom, but my birth mom. Um, I wanted questions answered as to why she did what she did, and why didn't she, like, if she was looking for me, or, what's the other way around. I also wanted to know my siblings, because my friends would grow up, and I was an only child. My mom only adopted me, and, I would have siblings, not siblings, I would have friends that had siblings, and, I would miss out on that. Like, okay, well, maybe I can know my siblings. Or when my mom's friends, kids, would reach out to their birth parents or birth siblings, I was a little jealous of that, because I was like, you know what, my mom's not looking for me. I don't, I know I have siblings, but, are they looking for me? I don't know anything about my birth siblings. I don't know their name. I don't know any of that. So I felt a little discouraged, jealous altogether with that, because um, I did want to find my siblings, and I did want to find my birth mom. Not really in a way to get to know her and her to be back in my life. I just wanted answers to the questions that I had, you know, built up over time. And I think I came to terms with my adoption, I want to say when I was about probably in high school, because my mom took me to a place called Case, and it was a bunch of other girls who were adopted, other girls and boys who were adopted. And basically they had a group, and they also had social workers. So I also went to, talk to a therapist with my whole adoption thing, and that also helped me also come to terms with my adoption, answer a little bit of questions. And I also, that's when I was in the adoption group for other girls and boys who were adopted as well. So I believe every Thursday or every Wednesday we would meet, and and we'll be able to talk about how our day was, the negative things that were happening in our lives, the positive things that were happening in our lives. You know, we didn't feel alone. I could relate, and that's actually how I met one of my closest friends from that group. And we made a bond, and I felt like we connected. We all connected because we were adopted. I didn't feel alone being in that group. And I love that group. Like, I think that was the best group the best group I've ever been in. And the people who ran it, the therapists who ran it, were amazing, and I just loved it. Also, the school I went to, which was a private high school, a lot of kids in there were adopted as well. So you didn't feel left out or anything, because I grew up with kids who were adopted my whole life. Um, and I think that's how I came to terms that being adopted wasn't bad, and I grew up telling myself that when I get older, I will adopt myself. I also told myself that as I got older, that if I ever had a kid, no matter how young I was, they will not be adopted. Just because of what I had to go through, in being adopted, I just didn't want my kids to go through that. So yeah. Um, if I had to, you know, if I had to tell kids who are adopted now, adoption is not a bad thing. It really isn't. My mom gave me an opportunity to, not necessarily because my mom didn't give me up herself, I was taken away from her, but I was given the opportunity to live a better life. Because if I stayed with my mom, with her doing drugs and all, I probably wouldn't even be here right now, or I'll probably be in jail right now, or I'll probably, be on drugs myself, and have, God forbid, my kids being taken away from me also. So I think my mom, even though she didn't give me up herself, I think the fact that I was given the opportunity to have a better life, and to, I was able to go to school. I met other kids who were adopted. And later on the years, I did meet my siblings, which is a cool story, and probably for another video. But I did meet my siblings, which was awesome, and I loved it. Like, yeah, so. Girl! Did you hear that? But, that was Ava. She just passed gas. Right? Right, mama? Right, mama? Right, mama? She woke up. But yeah, that's just my adoption story. I mean, it's not much, but it's something. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask me anytime. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye.
Hurt. I know there's pain.